liberals, and I want you liberals to tell me, what are we celebrating tomorrow? I want to know, what are we celebrating tomorrow? So we'll leave a line open for you. I have affirmative action here for liberals. Oh, yes, I do, constantly. Don't we, Mr. Call Screener? We have affirmative action for liberals. You go to the front of the line. That's where you want to be anyway. So the question is, what are we celebrating tomorrow? Not a hard one. I just want you liberals to tell me, because you're very confusing to me. Actually, you're not. You're pretty good foils. But seriously, what are we celebrating tomorrow? Well, I see we have a few liberals who are going to tell us what July 4th is all about. Let's start with Mark. New York City, the great WABC. Go.
Hey, how you doing today, Mark? Good name.
Very well, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Well, I was just saying, Mr. Call Screener there, is that most of the things I agree with you about, our declaration, and I do agree with all the grievances against the king, especially some of the horrible acts that they imposed. Like, some of the acts they imposed, and I also think, they should have known better, too, like with the tarring and feathering that was going on before the Declaration was written. I mean, when I think about our Independence Day and I think about the 4th of July, I always think about a lot of those stories I learned in history class in college and growing up, and, and that's what a lot of what it means to me. Now, the part that we may differ on, like you always say, I do think America did get better with the New Deal, and that's where, I wouldn't call it the starting point, but that's where it started to get better, in my opinion.
How so, sir?
How so, sir? Because the government started caring about the people.
It's not about the government caring about the people. It's about the people caring. Hold on now. This is the education part, and then we'll get back to you. What do you mean the government caring about the people? Let's dissect this. Who, what? What are you talking about?
Well, look what happened during the Depression.
Now, let's stay focused. I know it gets hard, but just stick with me, pal. What do you mean the government caring about the people? Who? Who exactly?
Well, look at some of the tragedies we had in the late 1800s.
Now, let me try again. What do you mean the government caring about the people?
I'm going to explain it.
No, you started with the New Deal. I want to take you right into the New Deal, and I'm going to deal with the New Deal. What do you mean the government caring about the people?
Well, first of all, we can start and get really simple for you, since it seems like
I'm really slow, and you're really up there. But go ahead, let's try.
I know, I can tell, but we'll start with the FDA.
What about the FDA?
Well, wasn't that to protect the people?
Why do you go to the FDA? I'll pick one for you. Let's go. Let's see. How about the National Recovery Act? What did you think about that one?
You know something? To me,
you know what? You're pretty stupid. I've spent 3 minutes, and you're mumbling around. You're pretty stupid. You don't want to talk about the National Recovery Act. You don't want to get. I'll get into all these laws with you if you'd like, but you really don't want to. Now, let me remind you of something. It was the federal government that upheld segregation for almost 100 years. Almost 100 years. It was the federal government that ordered the internment of Japanese Americans. So let us not pretend that the federal government always cares about people. Because what is the federal government, ladies and gentlemen? The federal government's made up of what? People. And some of the people are really good, and some of them really suck. And the thing is, you can hang up on the guy. The founding fathers understood that we, as human beings, are imperfect. And when you have fewer and fewer human beings having more and more power, what do you have? You have tyranny. I'm surprised the guy didn't bring up Social Security. Isn't this one of the greatest laws ever? And isn't it interesting? The liberals create Social Security, and they destroy Social Security. The liberals create Medicare, and they destroy Medicare. They're not the great guardians of these programs. They're the great plunderers. They're the great looters. So what does 4th of July stand for? I still don't know what it stands for with that guy. And he throws in tar and feathering. I don't know what he's talking about. The Food and Drug Administration, how about that? Let me bring up 2 points about the Food and Drug Administration. You can do your own Google searches, but more and more, drugs that people believe they need and want, particularly in their dying days, they cannot get because of the bureaucracy at the Food and Drug Administration. Moreover, we have 50 states, we have the District of Columbia, we also have our territories. Every single one of them has a bureaucracy involving food and safety, medicine safety. It's not as if they don't exist. One layers on top of the other. But if you want the Food and Drug Administration, fine by me. We're talking about massive redistribution of wealth, the destruction of the currency. We're talking about things far beyond the Food and Drug Administration. Because we all know, before the Food and Drug Administration, Americans didn't have good food. Americans couldn't invent drugs. No, there was no health care. There was nothing. There was nothing before the New Deal. There was nothing before the Food and Drug Administration. We didn't even know how to make toilets to crap in, right? Wrong.